So here's a crazy story for you. Did you know Israel becomes a sovereign state May 14th of 1948? And do you know what was the number 2 leading majority Muslim country in the world to recognize Israel as a sovereign state? You know who? In 1953, called Iran, under the Shah. Look how quickly it went from Iran and Israel actually having a relationship to in 1979, Khomeini takes over, and we hear the chants we've never heard before, screamed by any other nation except maybe North Korea, screaming, "Death upon America, death upon America, Marg bar America, Marg bar Israel," and then next thing you know, Middle East is in shambles, led by one country that today has a reputation for being the leading exporter of terrorism around the world, and that's Iran. And today, we're going to talk about, here's coming from a kid, born and raised in Iran in 1978. The year I'm born, 78, 3 months later, boom, revolution starts. And Iran's never been the same since 1979. And today I'm going to give you data to back up the 5 reasons why Iran may be experiencing a revolution here very soon. So if you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I want you to think about a country that's the biggest destabilizer in the world. Where do most of the conflicts currently come from? The Middle East. Who's the leader of that? Is it Turkey or is it Iran? When you think about Iran, leader of proxy militaries, who do they have control over? You got Hamas, they did the attack. You got Houthis, you know what they've done with the ships. You got Hezbollahs, we can go all the way back to Lebanon. The list goes on and on. You got the IRGC, we can continue with what things they've done, but where is that stemmed from? Is it coming from a place of hate and anger for a group of people that they want to get rid of? Israel, what is that anger coming from? And is hate more infectious than love? Obviously, we're seeing that in the Middle East. So when you look at this taking place in a place like that, who's being impacted by it? You are, I am, the world is, temperatures are high, war, drones, Israel, Iran. It's very nasty today. And at any point, temperatures can go skyrocketing like this. And the goal is constantly to lower the temperature. So look, I've been in the financial industry since 9/11, the day before 9/11. And I've owned stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, crypto, gold, you name it, I've owned it. But the one thing that's very important part of my portfolio all these years is gold. I love having a percentage of my net worth in gold that I have access to in case of many different things. That's why we chose to work with our new sponsor, American Hartford Gold. If you have retirement funds that you cannot afford to lose, American Hartford Gold will ship physical gold or silver directly to your door. Also, if you have retirement funds that you can't afford to lose, now is the time to call American Hartford Gold, a precious metal dealer you can trust. They have the finest products, amazing customer service, and a buyback commitment. They've earned a 5-star rating from thousands of reviews and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them I sent you and they'll send you up to $5,000 worth of free silver on your first order. So text the word VALUE to 65532 or call 866-695-7074 or go to AmericanHartfordGold.com/valuetainment. But we must first learn a little bit about history, because what would happen if Iran was a regular democracy that you, just like people go to Dubai and they say, I want to go to Dubai, I want to go to Abu Dhabi, I want to go to Saudi Arabia, I want to go watch Ronaldo play. What if you say, I'm going to take my family this summer to Tehran? Can you even imagine that? But what if we could? What if the temperature was super low in Iran? What would the rest of the world look like? Probably very different, right? So I want you to think about this. So we have Oxford academic explains 5 elements that create an unstable social equilibrium, eventually leading to a revolution. Number 1, economic or fiscal strain. 2, alienation and opposition amongst the elites. 3, widespread popular anger at injustice. 4, persuasive shared narrative of resistance. And 5, favorable international relations. By the way, when it comes down to misery index, which is unemployment plus inflation, Iran's misery index today is 60.4%. It's one of the highest it's been in the world. It's double what it was 6 years ago, which 6 years ago, they almost had a revolution that took place. They're not in a good place today. I'll even break down for you a little bit more. Inflation in December of 2023, 47%. They've had 10% unemployment for nearly 30 years. Labor protests over low salaries and worsening work conditions, severe delivery protests, water shortages. 6,500 doctors and medical specialists left the country in 2022. Between 100 to 150 nurses leave Iran every month. Half of Iran's university students and graduates have decided to emigrate, meaning around 66,000 of them are choosing to leave. And by the way, this is happening while the sanctions have been removed. The sanctions that Trump put on Iran, they've been removed. So even though they've been removed, the conditions in Iran economically is still very bad. As of February 2022, 65.8% surveyed Iranians within the Islamic Republic of Iran had a favorable opinion, ready, of the former Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, as a political leader. Do you know how crazy it is for them to say that? You say something like this in Iran and you say we're favorable for him? They're this bold to be able to say it now? Yes. At the same time, 66% of respondents in Iran had an unfavorable opinion on the current leader of the country, Ali Khamenei. Iran's corruption index ranks 149 out of 180. So let me explain to you what this means, 149 or 180. 0 means highly corrupt, 100 means very clean. Obviously, no country is 0 or 100. Iran's score, 24. You know what the world average is? 43. You know what the average is for Middle Eastern countries as well as North African countries? 34. Iran is 24 when it comes down to corruption. And guess who's sick of it? The people. Mass demonstrations triggered by the events that took place September 22nd, the death of Mahsa Amini, while in the custody of the Guidance Patrol, also known as the Morality Police, for allegedly violating the hijab dress code. During that time, from September of 2022 to December, the ACLED records the highest number of violent demonstrations events for any round of nationwide demonstrations in Iran since the beginning of the data collection in 2016. Now again, think about it. This is while there's no sanctions, right? When there was sanctions, what they were experiencing is a spike in food prices sparked by anti-government demonstrations between late 2017 and early January 2018, while another round of anti-government protests erupted across the country following a tripling of fuel prices in November of 2019. And by the way, while all these protests were going on during this time for the fuel, for food, for all the stuff with the sanctions, 80% of the people in the country supported the protesting because they were not happy about what was going on in Iran. An opinion survey involving 158,000 people in Iran showed that more than 80% respondents reject the Islamic Republic and prefer a democratic government. As a matter of fact, of the 42,000 Iranian respondents abroad, not living in Iran, 99% responded no, opting against the Islamic Republic. They're against what's going on there. And if we continue with demonstrations of what's going on with unhappy folks in Iran, in 2017, 2018, demonstrations reported in fewer than 100 locations. In 2019, it went to 130 locations. In 2022, it went to 210 locations. And by the way, to unpack and break down the 2022 demonstrations, here's what it would look like. Cutting across class and ethnic divisions, 300 demonstrations recorded across Iran's Kurdish areas, 750 demonstrations at universities and high schools, nearly 90 in the affluent northern districts of Iran, dozens involving members of the minority Sunni community in the impoverished eastern province of Sistan and Baluchistan. And last but not least, number 5, favorable international relations. Think about this. We saw this in the World Cup at the highest level when Iran was playing U.S., and about half of the respondents in Iran and abroad state that they feel happy that the soccer team of the Islamic Republic of Iran lost against the U.S. team. Think about it. Iranians around the world and in Iran were happy that Iran lost to U.S. Why? Because of all the mess that was taking place there. The lack of support for Iran's football team in World Cup 2022. In contrast, 23% of those in the country and 8% of those outside report having felt sad about the outcome. 23% of those who lived in the country, that means 78% were happy, and 8% living outside, that means 92% were happy that Iran lost to U.S. Why? Because they don't want the government to get a victory. They're not saying anything about the people. The Iranian people, go have dinner with them. A guy sends me a message on Minect and says, you know what I love about what you do? Every time you give gift to your guests all the way at the end, you know that's an Iranian quality. You know that's a... I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Go have dinner with Iranians. They're going to make food and they're going to give it to you the way they eat. They want to make sure you're happy. They're going to feed you. Culture's a beautiful culture. What the government is doing right now, it's a nasty situation in Iran when you see this, to the point where they have all these guys that, you know, potentially can somebody help to create the revolution and be the leader. Obviously, you hear the name Prince Reza Pahlavi. He is the son of the Reza Shah Pahlavi. But the question is, will this lead to a revolution in Iran today or not? Here's what I think. I don't think they're there yet. Why? Because what happened in 79 versus today, there's a big difference. In 79, you had a lot of people that wanted Iran to fall because the Shah was becoming too powerful and he was about to renew the oil contract in 1979 that they signed in 1954, and he had leverage over everybody. So the world didn't want to overpay for the oil to Iran and make them very powerful. So they all wanted them to fall. UK, US, Kissinger, Carter, MI6, a lot of people were involved. Oh yeah, we'll help you, we'll help you, we'll help you. Carter leaves, we don't help you. The only way this gets to that point, because right now, the public sector, the government's forcing people to pay more money because they're not really having protesting in the oil sector. But if sanctions get hit, under this administration with Biden, it is not going to happen. But if somebody else gets elected in 2024 and they come in and sanctions start right off the bat, look how quickly what's going to happen to Iran economically within 6, 12, 18 months, that the regime will be in fear on what they could potentially do. And even then, they got a couple people that have their backs, that share a common enemy. Russia could have their backs. China could definitely have their backs. But if U.S. is imposing sanctions and they're united against those two, and that pain gets there, and China wants to keep a good relation with U.S. president could say, hey, China, I don't mind doing business with you. We can negotiate. But I swear to God, if you get in the way with what we're doing with Iran and this mess continues, I'm going to keep my sanctions with you. That's very likely to happen. You see the leverage there. Now, again, negotiation happens behind closed doors in very creative ways that many times you and I don't see. But I think U.S. will have the leverage if they're imposing sanctions both on China and Iran to say, China, stay out of this one. We have to figure out a way to destabilize the number one leading exporter of terrorism that is creating havoc around the world. And we need to lower the temperature. Then, maybe then, a revolution is possible. Till then, they don't have the influence right now to be able to pull it off. My opinion. And I could be wrong, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think we'll see anything for a while, especially not in 2024. So, if you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I did an interview with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, the son of Reza Shah Pahlavi. If you've never seen it, click here to watch. It's the first time he ever did a 3-hour long-form podcast, and it's very, very insightful, especially if you're from Iran. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.